Eagles are up next. They're near the top. Defending Super Bowl champs. They're the top. Over under here. It's 11.5. This will be an interesting one to hear your take here. Cynthia has them slightly under at 11. I don't think that's offensive to say slightly under. I think I'd probably lean that way, just playing the odds, and not just because they've lost a couple players, but just some kind of regression there from the Eagles, even though I like a lot of what they've done, obviously from a multiple year team building standpoint.
Yeah. This is where you start to get now that total is pushed high enough that you're like, that is tough to get more than that, right? Like it is pretty tough to be a 12 plus win team, at least more like for that to be more likely than you hitting under that total. So as much as I think the Eagles may still be the most complete roster in the NFL and in a really good spot, it doesn't take much imagination to imagine a world where things go against that and they get pushed below that number. So, for example, both Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell last season were phenomenal as rookies right out of the gate. What if either one of them, has a sophomore slump or regresses or just doesn't pick up the same way they did last season at a position that we know is hyper volatile and all those kinds of things? So, that if one of those guys didn't play particularly well next year, suddenly that cornerback group could easily not be a strength at all. You would have one guy underperforming, you would have one veteran not playing out of his mind anyway, and then you would have the other guy picking up the slack. That kind of thing would be pretty easy to imagine a world where suddenly Philadelphia's corners can be attacked and go after. You've highlighted, this is not the usual strength and depth of Philadelphia's defensive line. We already saw last season, like Bryce Huff was supposed to be a really important signing for them, was a healthy scratch by the time we got to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't take much to imagine a world where the loss of Milton Williams, the lack of juice from, guys like Nolan Smith as a former first-round pick bit, and they weren't as dominant up front either. Vic Fangio is a really good defensive coach. There's still a ton of talent there, but you can definitely picture a world where things go against them and they're not a 12-win team.
Couple schedule highlights here for the Eagles. They kick things off. Of course, they are kicking off the NFL on September 4th, the Thursday night. You get to see the Super Bowl champion. They're hosting the Cowboys in that game. Then they get the mini bye, and they have the rematch against Kansas City in week 2. So they're at Kansas City in week 2, rematch of last year's Super Bowl, of course. So they start with Dallas. They're at Kansas City. Then they have the Rams, and we know the Rams are supposed to be tough and competitive in week 3. And then at Tampa Bay. So on paper, those are 4 tough games right off the bat for the Eagles. And then the same thing was at the Falcons or the Panthers or whatever the NFC South teams are that play at the end of the season. They have the week 16 and 18 thing against the Commanders. I'm also shocked at how often this happens, by the way, Sam, that you play your division rival 2 out of 3 weeks. So they don't see the Commanders until week 16. Another one of those things. Remember last year, Buffalo clinched the division before they even played the Patriots.
Yeah.
They were in week 16, and then they faced them in week 16 and 18. How different could both of these teams be by week 16? Commanders, so they're at Washington in week 16 and then home against them in week 18. So just some schedule quirks here for the Eagles.
I mean, it's by design, right? Like they are trying to make those end of season games interesting, even if there's not much to play for, which I don't think works that way. Like when Buffalo's playing their second string against the Patriots, it's not an interesting game, regardless of the fact that it's the Patriots.
I don't mind putting the division games at the end just in case. Like, we hope this is for the division in week 18 or whatever. It's just weird to me to not play your division rival until week 16 and do the 16 and 18. There's always 1 or 2 of these every year. We just highlighted 2 already. So I wouldn't do that.
I just don't think it's achieving I don't think it's achieving what it's trying to achieve. I think at this point, we say this every year. The NFL schedule at this point is just trying to achieve too many things at once, and it can't handle it. Like used to be basically a couple of parameters thrown into the mix, right? And these are the things we've got to get done. Outside of that, everything's fine. Now there's like 58 different things that this schedule needs to achieve, all thrown into the algorithm, and it's like it just spits out like ridiculousness every now and again. It's not fit for purpose anymore.
All right, let's wrap up the East. So I'll take the under on the Eagles just again because we have to.
I'll go over.
Okay. Oh, I thought you were leaning. You're going to have more overs than me.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.